game-changing weapons in the first stage of the war in Ukraine were really the man-pads. Those are the man-portable, shoulder-launched weapons that Ukrainian defenders were firing at Russian armour. Now specifically, they were the Javelins and the NLAWs. There were others, there were lots of Carl Gustav recoilless rifles as well, but it was the NLAWs and the Javelins that really appeared to stop that Russian invasion in its tracks. My name's Jerome Starkey, I'm the defence editor at the Sun newspaper. I'm going to talk a little bit today about some of the weapons that have been making a real difference in the defence of Ukraine. Javelins and NLAWs both fire and forget guided missiles, so you aim them at your target, you fire them and you can flee. Crucially though, two main differences between those missiles. One is the range of them. The Javelins can fire about 2.5 kilometres, the NLAWs have a range of about 900 metres. The advantage of the NLAWs is they can be fired from inside buildings. They pop out of the tube before the missile ignites. That means that the person who fires it won't get burnt by the backblast. The advantage of the Javelin is it can do something called top attack. So once it's fired, it can either fire in a straight line at its target, or it can swoop up into the sky and then come down on its target from above. And if you're aiming at a tank, that's important because it hits the turret, and often the turret is perhaps the weakest part, or one of the weakest parts, of a tank. It was those weapons, those shoulder-launched missiles, that were absolutely key in helping Ukraine's defenders, small bands of sort of partisan-style, guerrilla-style fighters, to stop Russian armour, to halt Russian tanks, destroy Russian armoured vehicles. They're successful because they're relatively small, they're relatively cheap, they're easy to move around, and you don't need huge infrastructure, you don't need large vehicles. What you need is small teams of brave fighters, and Ukraine has those in abundance. And so those teams were able to sneak up close to the Russian formations, launch their attacks and get out. And so it suited that style of Ukrainian defence. Britain has provided thousands of the NLAW missiles, which stands for Next Generation Light Anti-Tank Weapon, and they're manufactured in Northern Ireland. Some thousands of those and some hundreds of the Javelins. The Javelins are US made and significantly more expensive, but Britain has provided both of them. The other man-portable weapons that have played an important role in the conflict, and particularly in that early stage, and then I think as it rolled into spring, were the Starstreak anti-aircraft missiles. Now these can be man-portable, which means they can be carried by soldiers, but they can also be mounted on armoured vehicles, Stormer armoured vehicles, and the UK has supplied some of those to Ukraine as well. Now the Starstreaks are incredibly sophisticated anti-aircraft weapons. The British artillery boasts that they can hit an object the size of a tennis ball travelling at the speed of sound. The missile, one of the fastest in existence, splits into 3 parts as it approaches its target to explode, to give it a greater likelihood of taking out the aircraft that it's aimed at. Now we know anecdotally from Western intelligence officials that Russian pilots, helicopter and fighter jet pilots, have been reluctant, indeed scared, to fly ahead of their armed forces because Ukraine's air defence and anti-aircraft capability has been so effective. So many of those Russian aircraft have been shot down.